I'm looking at the number of people who have been given the game changer, not just this year, but across the last 10, 12 years, I don't know what exact. And when you look at the list of people, they're quite overwhelming. And to be given recognition, that in itself is quite a great feeling. There's so many different aspects of this evening which show different parts of the game changers that have come in, who maybe some I don't even know well. And it's learning, it's an education that you do when you pay attention to what is happening and how this can change things in my own life. That it's been very elucidating for me. And, my life is made up of a few different things. I'm a competitive bridge player. I play for for India. And I am very, very involved with sport, be it cricket or be it football or tennis. So I have a varied kind of thing that I do in my life. But certainly art is very, very important. And this new museum that we are setting up is going to be about 100, well, over 100, over 1,200,000 square feet. And it should be ready in the next 2 years. And so I hope we'll get a lot of more participation from the art community across other parts of India, not just Delhi.
Yeah.
And fortunately, we have a very good meeting of somebody like Glenn Lowry. Glenn is on our board, and he's just retired from his association at MoMA, where he spent, I think, 28 or 30 years, and he's just retired. So we've had association with a lot of very important bridge people. And so my life has been, bridge has been very important, but this kind of evening makes it very, very meaningful for me. When I got involved with art, I felt that just collecting art because you liked it didn't mean that much. Because I think there was a greater responsibility. If you were collecting art, then that art should be made available to the lay people, not just the sort of people who could afford to collect that art, but people who had really no real information or knowledge. They were just seeing things and then maybe collecting things, but it was a bit episodic. And I did feel I was in a position that I could learn a little more. I had no art background. I hadn't studied art. It was a fondness. It was a enjoyment of learning. But more it was, I felt it would be a retribution to the lay public of India. And at that time, my image was much more India-based. Because that's the art I knew about. I didn't know that much about, say, Western art or... I just felt that this art I did own. I had collected most of it. It wasn't such a large figure as today. And I felt I was in a position where I could do something meaningful. In this area, I had a couple of friends who were dealers, who owned galleries, but they were very, very good collectors. And I went to them to ask them, what would be your advice? I don't really know if I could set up a museum. I don't know that much about it. And they said, if you have the will to do it and you feel you can contribute, we'll help. We'll help in trying to make your vision more important to the task you're taking. And so therefore I had these 3 or 4 very people were important in my life, and I felt they could contribute something to this area that I was going into. So we started the museum in 2010. That was about 4 or 5 years post my idea of doing it. And I remember the first show we had was at the museum. I have my husband is in the technology space, and so they gave me part of the space that I could start the museum, and we started in 2010. And the first show was called Opening Doors. I still remember it was it was 15, 16 years ago. And initially it wasn't easy because there was very little knowledge about Indian art that existed amongst people. They would come episodically, visit, but with no real great interest. It was an occupation of some kind. So initially we were pushing quite hard to get people to visit us, and I think the first 5, 6 years was not an easy responsibility, but it was something I felt I should make an attempt to do.
Sure.
And so it took us at least, or it took me at least 10 years to really get things moving and getting people. We started in a large way with getting school kids to come to visit the shows. It is very fulfilling. Um, I have to say that my husband, who had really no knowledge about us as such, of art, but he supported whatever I did, uh, was a big support for me of what I was doing, because the cost implications were high, and he was setting up his own industry, and so he was not looking at this as a measure that was being done for any generating of funds for anything. He just felt if you want to do this and if it's meaningful, you do it. You know, the people who are on the Asia Society committee together, Inakshi, who is part of the Asia Society India, is the head of the organization. And I've worked very closely with her. We've done a lot of fundraising for the association. So, like, they have 3 or 4 different areas for which the people are selected, and then those people are put forward, and then funds are raised for that association, and then we help. The Kiran Nadar Museum of Art has helped in putting shows up within, let's say, a year or 6 months actually after the selection has been done, and we've raised funds for that occasion. So that's been a philanthropic aspect of what we've been able to do with Asia Society.
A wonderful partnership.
It's been a fantastic partnership. I think what has become much more important with the Asia Society mission today is, I think, the recognition of how art has changed from the subcontinent to, let's say, the Western artists, or maybe more specifically American art. But like places like China, art, I still remember when 2007, when there was the entire art market sort of crashed, and there was nowhere to go. The Indian market completely crashed. But China at that time survived, and their market went up in value, maybe 7 to 10 times what India was able to generate. And we are still pretty small comparatively.
Yeah.
But at that time, one saw how Indian market had a potential to go into a space where it would become important.